Imposter. I remember my first day in seminary, we had to wear the uniform, which was the Roman collar that priests wear, and I got dressed for the day, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I thought, imposter. That was 24 years ago. This week I was at the school, and a third grade boy stopped me in the hallway with an important question. He said, "Father, do you sleep in your priest clothes?" And I said, "Yes, of course I do." We know that you can impersonate someone by changing your outward appearance, all right, but that doesn't change the inward disposition. And so to be a priest or to be a disciple of Jesus Christ, right, our outward appearance needs to match our inward disposition. And when they don't, well, then that can be a problem. We look at today's gospel, and Jesus is confronting the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. The Pharisees should be the best Jews. Right? They spend all this time learning about God, learning His will. They should be the ones living it out. But unfortunately, they fall into this trap where they think that they have to be better than the other people around them and make them feel lower. And so a lot of times they live a shallow existence where how they dress and the actions that they do are all for outward appearance. But inwardly, their inward disposition, it lacks love of God and love of neighbor. And Jesus, calls us to recognize that this is a counterfeit religious observance, right? And that we need to be different than the Pharisees. And so, if we look at the lives of the saints, brothers and sisters, what they offer us is something different. They offer us the ability, or that we ought to have a humble witness that we give to the world instead of something that is like being an imposter. So we look at the lives of the saints, and as I said before, it's easier to wear a cross than it is to carry one. And I want to encourage you, that doesn't mean don't wear a cross. Certainly wear a cross so you can give witness to the world of who you are and who the master of your life is. But then we also need to hear these words of St. John Vianney that I quoted at the start of Mass, which is, if we courageously carry our cross, then our cross will carry us to heaven. And this kind of gentle, like a humble witness that we get from the saints that inspires us, especially us priests, as we have St. John Vianney as our patron saint. We would certainly say that the saints lived a life of integrity, purity, and self-sacrifice. And brothers and sisters, by the grace of God, we also can live lives of integrity, purity, and self-sacrifice. Now, a lot of times saints come from among priests and religious, and we understand that because the world is loud and obnoxious, and it's sometimes hard to hear the will of God and enact it. And so for those who have at least taken some steps to remove themselves from the world, it's easier for them to hear and enact the will of God. This past week I was teaching first grade, and a little boy told me that he wanted to be a priest when he grows up. And I thought that was excellent. Honestly, all Catholic young boys should be open to the idea of becoming a priest when they grow up. And likewise for girls, they should be open to the idea of becoming a religious sister when they grow up. Unfortunately, we live in this world, as I said. It's loud and obnoxious and kind of drowns out the word of God, and we can not hear the call that we're supposed to hear. You know what we want for our children? It's the same thing we want for anyone that we love, is we want them to be holy and happy and healthy. And the best way to be holy, happy, and healthy is to be discerning the will of God and then trying to live it in our lives. I don't think that God stopped calling men to the priesthood. I don't think that's why we have a shortage. I think that men stopped hearing and answering the call. And I don't think we have a shortage of religious sisters because God stopped calling women to the religious life. I think that our world is noisy and they stopped hearing and answering the call. So I bring this up because I want you to pray over this next week for anyone who might be in our community. Pray that God will reveal some names to you, people you think might have a vocation to the priesthood or the religious life. Because a week from today, we're going to have the cards in the pews that they say called by name. We're going to ask you to write down people's names and any contact information you have, Because one, we want to be praying for them, but two, we want to contact them and invite them that we might help them with a discernment, because sometimes it's a great encouragement just to think, oh, someone else put my name down. So that's what I'm asking you to do, is to pray over the next week that God might reveal to you who are some of the people in our community that might be called to be a priest or a religious sister. Now, it's true, we want our priests to be holy, happy, and healthy. This is a goal of the Archdiocese, which is why we have our own seminary formation program here in-house in the Archdiocese, right? So we can be producing the best possible priests. But having your own seminary is also expensive. And so at this point, I'm going to invite Deacon Zach up to tell us a little bit about this year's seminary appeal.
As Father said, my name is Deacon Zach, and if you don't know who I am, then you've been trying really, really hard to avoid me since May. I am a transitional deacon assigned at your parish, which means that I'm in seminary. Transitional deacons will eventually be ordained priests. God willing, everything works out, I will be ordained a priest in May. I've been in seminary for 8 years, and the average time for a seminarian to be in seminary is between 7 and 9 years. I first heard the call to the priesthood when I was in 8th grade and I was altar serving. As the priest was giving the homily in the back of my head, I just heard a little voice that said, "You could do that." And I said, "No, Jesus, I can't. Do you know what that means?" And so I ignored it. I went to high school. I ended up going to college. And while I was at college, I was studying what I kind of wanted to be studying. I had the friends that I wanted. I was at the college that I wanted. Everything kind of was perfect and ordered the way that I had intended it to be, but I was extremely, extremely unhappy, and I did not know why. So I just said a quick Hail Mary. Careful what a Hail Mary can do, because everything for the next month fell apart in my life. I said a Hail Mary, and in the back of my head, Jesus said, "Well, you keep telling me what you're going to do instead of asking me what I want you to do." And once I made that switch in mentality, within the next month, I was applied to seminary, had quit college, and was accepted. And it's been the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. It's the most peaceful I've ever been. I was still so convinced, though, that I wasn't supposed to be a priest that I didn't even unpack for the first 2 weeks of seminary because I thought I'd just save myself time. And 8 years later, I'm still here. I'm here today for 2 reasons. The first is I'm here to ask for prayers on behalf of me and my brother seminarians. As Father has said, it's a difficult time to be a priest. It's a difficult time to be a Catholic. We really need your prayers to be able to continue doing what we're doing, to continue having the strength to do what we're supposed to be doing, and following the call of Jesus. Also, prayers for priests. We need vocations. Without priests, we don't have the sacraments. Without the sacraments, we don't have salvation. We need priests. So pray for priests in our diocese, pray for young people in this parish, that we can continue to grow in our number of our vocations, not only to priesthood, but to religious life. Second, in the pews, there's envelopes, or there should be, and brochures. They have literally every way you could possibly think of donating that you can possibly, even including a QR code, website check, money, anything you can possibly think of. Please, if you have the chance and the ability to donate, it would be greatly appreciated. For one seminarian to go to seminary for 1 year, it's $60,000. I go to seminary for 8 years. There's about 100 guys in seminary right now. That's a lot of zeros. And they don't ask us to pay a single dime because they want us to be able to fully focus on becoming the best priests that we can be for you without having to worry about how to pay. It's entirely funded through donations. So I ask for you to please prayerfully consider donating to the seminary and also praying for me, praying for my brother seminarians, and praying for vocations to the priesthood. Know of our prayers for you as well and your families as we continue throughout our time in seminary and formation. Each and every one of you is in all of our thoughts, prayers, and actions that we do. You're the reason that we go through this so that we can help bring you the sacraments and bring you Jesus Christ. Thank you so much.